Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about 5 attendance breaking records that took place in women's football over the past week, here on She Scores Bangers. 2022 and breaking attendance records quite literally has been one of the biggest storylines for women's football, and who doesn't love to see it? In number 1, we have Frankfurt that took on Bayern in the opening game of the Frauen Bundesliga, which saw 23,000 people in the stadium. This is a record-breaking number for the Bundesliga in general, specifically for an opening game. In fact, this number was more than double than what the last record was. It was a great example of what an opening game should be. In fact, I'm going to leave a link where you guys can go watch the entire game because it was one of the most intense, scoreless games that I have watched in quite some time. Frankfurt is looking very, very dangerous this year and is up there to really have Wolfsburg and Bayern struggle a little bit and really fight for the points that they're wanting to gain. The Bundesliga keeps getting better and better. The physicality, the technique, the pace of it is just so fun to watch that if you guys are not hooked on it, I think you should jump on that hype train ASAP. The second record goes over to the biggest crowd seen in a qualifying round in the Women's Champions League competition, where over 11,000 fans showed up for the Real Sociedad versus Bayern Munich first leg game. Unfortunately, Real Sociedad did lose 1-0, but it is a debut in the Champions League for them, and having that great of a turnout is a great result. Moving on to a very big crowd that broke the NWSL records, saw 32,000 people at the game between Angel City and San Diego Wave. And if you didn't know already, those two teams are actually expansion teams, and this is not the first time that they met. The first time that they met was also a sellout at the other stadium, but 32,000 people for an expansion, two expansion teams going head to head. I mean, that is huge. San Diego did take the win for that one. It was actually a really, really fun game. I enjoyed watching it. I obviously was very happy to see Kaylin Sheridan, the Canadian goalkeeper, do very good. She saved a penalty. I mean, pretty much you could say got the win for San Diego on that one. It was a good show, and having all these fans and attendees be in there and too was also a great atmosphere. Another record that unfortunately was not all over the headlines was the final Brazilian league game. They actually have 2 legs for the final, which is quite interesting. You don't see that method of football still going on, so it's always fun to mix it up like that. But the first leg hosted 36,000 attendees in the stadium, which is huge. That not only was a record for the league, but the second leg, which goes on Saturday, has actually sold 40,000 tickets already. That is allocated tickets. That means people have actually paid for them. And the capacity for the stadium is just under 43,000, so it is looking very, very likely that it could also sell out in just 43,000 people. That is a great number. I'm a new fan into the Brazilian league. I've only been watching it, I'd say, this year, but I think the level of football, the football that they play, the style of football is so different. It has that like Brazilian flair. It's not what we see in the NWSL or the WSL or any kind of European league. The final was between Corinthians and Internacional. I'm pretty sure I butchered these because I don't speak Portuguese, but it was a great draw, 1-1, red card in the final. It's pretty much all to play for in that second leg, and if 43,000 people can show up, I think that is... what a day. The last and final crowd record here, it's quite a small one, but it's looking like a very promising start. Manchester United was also able to get just under 8,000 fans in their stadium in the opening game against Reading. Now again, you could say this is a small crowd, but it's still a record. It's also an opening game that was taking place in quite unconventional times right after the Queen's passing. A lot of people gave away their tickets or just were not able to attend. It was quite an early kickoff on Saturday too, so an 11,000 crowd is a record regardless if it's high or not. For a team who's looking very promising, a lot of talks about them being able to break into that Champions League spot to start off with a very bright start. I think that's saying a lot. They also went on to win that game 4-0 and saw their debut signing, Maya Letitia, have a brace. I mean, a defender got a brace on her debut and clean sheet. Pretty good damn day, I would say. Our records are probably going to get broken as well. We have the North London Derby, which I'm sure we're going to talk about later on, and on the weekend have been sold. Again, those are allocated tickets, so people have bought them. There's 10,000 tickets left to sell out the entire stadium, and I think if they can sell the entire Emirates, that's wild. The previous record was around the 32k mark, so I mean they're doing miles ahead of what the WSL record here is. It's very important that fans are able to buy, but it's even more important that you have the show up for those tickets. It's something that a lot of people talk about women's football, is that these tickets are very cheap. Anybody can buy them, but you're not promised people will show up because of how cheap they are. And I think numbers like this over the past week have proved something, that no, people not only are willing to buy, but they're willing to show up and I think the North London derby is going to be a huge statement. If this added a little bit of positive energy into your week, because who doesn't love seeing breaking records, 5 of them in 1 week in women's football over the past few days, I don't know what would. Overall, please do share your thoughts and opinions on this. Let me know what you think the sport is doing right, where it's heading, and what kind of attendance do you want to see. As always, to stay updated and to continue enjoying the beautiful game, make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube and follow us on Twitter. I will see you later.